Hey, what is going on, you dead set legends, and welcome to a very special show. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching this a little bit later on, you're like, holy shit, when does Aussie Arm Wrestler start at this time? Well, there's not too many people that make me start at this time, but this gentleman does. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ready Bang, the #1 arm wrestling show in the world. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and of course, I am the holder of the 2019 Melbourne Cup, left arm the 80-95 amateur, the only title that has its own goddamn trading card. That's how good it is. But anyway, enough about me. Sick of talking about me. We have a huge weekend in Australian arm wrestling. It is amazing. And as I introduce my guest here, we have the #1 super match promotion in Australia. That is, of course, is AWE. I'm wearing my AWE shirt. I absolutely love it. I am talking about the man who has fought tyranny, who has fought setbacks. He's punched politics in the dick and just kept on pushing through for the good of Australian pullers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one of my favorite people in arm wrestling, Dave Stockbridge, owner of AWE. Dave,
what's happening? Thank you very much. What a very warm welcome. This is fantastic. Thank you very much.
You know, I'm not going to have my guests go out of their way. You're a very busy man. I'm like, oh, hey everyone, it's Dean on the show. What's going on, Dean? I've got to give you. That's what the show's known for. Massive introductions, mate. We're 48 hours. 72 hours away from the big dance, AWE Grand Prix 2. We're up and about. We'll get to the chat in a minute, guys. We ready to rock and roll, Dave, mate? 72 hours out?
72 hours out. We are locked and loaded. We're just waiting for everybody else to get here. We've already got Ashley Huerta here on the ground. She's been acclimatizing to the warmer weather here in Adelaide over the last 4 or 5 days, and so preparing herself for her match up with Keziah Harrington. So we're looking forward to that. That's the Women's Trans-Tasman Trophy. So we're going to find out who is the strongest between our two great countries here in the Southern Hemisphere. So that is going to be a right-hand and left-hand super match. And smack bang in the middle of that, you got Rika Borman and Brett Coots on left to decide who it is that on this side of the planet is the strongest on left. So we've got that going on, as well as Grand Prix 2. And at the moment, no major hiccups. It looks like everything is looking great. As I was saying, I say that with some degree of trepidation because 48 hours out, anything could happen.
Mate, it is arm wrestling. Everything will happen. But before I say hi to everyone in the chat, a huge congratulations. Yes, you'll get my predictions on AWE Grand Prix right here. So stick around for that one. But first of all, mate, AWE in Adelaide, your hometown. Mate, it's a sellout. It's a sellout.
It's a sellout.
Don't even try. Stop sending the message.
You can try. You might be able to buy a ticket. You know, it's but of somebody else who might be walking out at some stage.
Scalp them if you want to make some cash. Scalp them. A sellout, mate. Like,
we don't mind.
And why I'm so excited for you, Dave, because like in the aspects of it, growing up in Australia, it's Aussie rules footy. It's it's soccer, it's everything else but arm wrestling. But you found a venue and you said, let's fill it, bang, and we're filling it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that bore out of just watching arm wrestling taking place in empty rooms, and even at the highest level, it seems that the best shows on earth really do genuinely struggle to fill a room, and so consistently. And we know how popular arm wrestling's become over the last 36, 48 months. It's exploded in popularity. I know here in South Australia, it's no longer unusual to have 40 or 50 people turn up to training. I mean, I know it's amazing, and to think it was only a matter of maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it was Tim Graham and a couple of guys on a driveway in a carport somewhere, and now you're packing out a community centre every Sunday for 3 hours with young people that are now calling themselves arm wrestlers. It's been amazing, and I think this trajectory that we're on is just going to continue.
It's going to be brilliant. We'll quickly say hi to everyone in the chat. Then I just want to bring it back to the start of AWE before we get into the Grand Prix and all of my predictions and how everyone can watch this amazing event. Arm Historian says, I'll try and catch this one. Should be during my lunch break. So you got Belgium in the house, Dave. So take note. You got Belgium in the house. You got a bloke that is doing very well in Australian arm wrestling, Hayden. He's got his town. He drives 2.5 hours to come to training every week, and he started his own arm wrestling club. So big fan of Hayden.
God bless you.
Crew there. Carl Becker, you've got an Australian that lives in New York tuning in because he loves a bit of AWE, mate. It's just more to show you what reach. Sometimes, it's like, Dave, you're grinding and you're like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? I just want to show you the reach that AWE is happening. And you've got the most important reach. That's Mrs. Aussie Arm Wrestler.
Oh.
She's tuning in. She's tuning in. We got my man, Adam, that one guy from Ohio. Japan is in the house. Love me some Levi from Savage Arm Wrestling. Says I stand with Aussie Arm Wrestler. Yeah, because I've been blacklisted. Brilliant. Then we've got Intrinsic Media. Says it's okay. I am here. Well, we're glad you're here. Thank you. We can start. Then we've got Ready Bang Boys. Can't wait to hear how Rickard does. He's the man, coming from Richard Sheck. We've got Ryan Bowen coming back from his belly, and he's very...
Well, apparently he's immune. He's immune.
Did you know this will be the first time, I'm sure Ryan will confirm, it's got to be 2 or 3 years that I've caught up with Ryan in Australia.
Oh, right.
I never catch up with Ryan in Australia.
Wow. Well,
I think when he ran arm fights at his house, and I stayed at his house, was the last time I saw Ryan Bowen in Australia. We catch up in Dubai, in Ireland, in New York. But, yeah, so it'll be very interesting to there. One of the superstars competing, Ashley Hoeta, is in the house. And, of course, Hayden, he's driving to Adelaide as we speak.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Richard, stay tuned. We've got the seedings and we've got the draw. We're up and about, but I got to say hi to everyone, including Tim Pipe, an OG supporter of your partner in crime, Hollywood, Matt Connolly. He'll be there hanging about.
Well.
It's going to be brilliant. We've got James Stewart. Love myself some Claymore. Big fan of him. Josh Barker is in the house. He's keen for the weekend. Just quickly, big subject. Do we have arm wrestling in the 2032 Olympics? Because it's here in Australia. Tim, not a chance. We'd love it, but it's not happening. Mr. Peanut is in the house. And my man, Travis Newsom. Where does one find more info on the Grand Prix too? Probably best AWE Instagram, or stick around right here. And, of course, Matt doing the good work there. It is brilliant. So, sorry, Matt. I might get the bracket wrong because I kind of guessed it. So, I have my own bracket. So, you tell me if it's correct or not, because we'll post the bracket soon. So, just quickly, Dave, while people are hanging about and people that might not know about AWE, what was the whole purpose? Let's go back from day one. You got together with Matt. You teamed up with Ryan Bowen. What was the initial goal?
Well, it was really interesting. So, I mean, I'll talk about my experience with it rather than anybody else's. But you know, I remembered during COVID, like so many people, discovering arm wrestling online and thinking, "Wow, this is a thing." And you know, I've been a weight trainer my whole adult life. You know, I've always thought of myself as kind of a strong guy. And you know, when I was younger, I was quite, you know, muscular and did a lot of weight training and felt, you know, maybe this is a sport that I could just be really good at. As it turns out, no, that wasn't necessarily the case. But I had early on, I had dreams of being the greatest arm wrestler ever to have walked the planet. But since then, you know, that dream has slipped away. But I could see that there are others out there that had got the bug and needed a place to be and a platform to rise to. And I knew coming out of COVID that if arm wrestling had exploded during COVID, once people were able to actually get on tables and lock hands and grip up and be in the same rooms together, that this sport was just going to go crazy. And I really believed that arm wrestling was and is the next MMA in terms of sports that can have huge broad appeal. And even more so because of how accessible arm wrestling is compared to MMA. You know, you just don't, you know, all of a sudden start, you know, throwing kicks and punches with your mates down at the park, but you can really easily sit across the table from a mate and grip up and have a little bit of fun and fill things out a little bit and you can do that anywhere and it costs nothing. So it's a really low cost of entry. It's a sport that I think creates community. And I think that's something that's really lacking in the world that we have today, where people don't have those opportunities to catch up in those, excuse me, those third places, you know, where it's not home and it's not work, but it's a third place. And people, that's something that's somewhat lost in our culture. You know, gone are the days where people are so inclined to be in sporting groups or social groups or, excuse me, service groups or anything of that nature. But, you know, arm wrestling is one of those things, one of those third places. And it's not just a physical third place where you can go and you can train. It becomes online another third place. And I can attest that, you know, the arm wrestling group here in Adelaide, you know, there's a huge chat group, and you know, there might be, I think there's more people in it than members, and essentially it's a great support group for 40 or 50 people. You know, it's a place that people can go to anytime, day or night, and find community. You know, it's a great thing. So I identified that and thought, okay, well, excuse me, mate, I'm just goodness me.
Choking under pressure. That's what it is. He's got too much on his plate and he goes, I don't have time for you. No, Jake.
I know, there's too much to get out. So we got essentially coming out of COVID, thought, well, you know, there's a few things we need to do, and that's to create a structure around this. And I reached out to Tim Graham, and you know, he was actually at the point then where his involvement had been so deep for so long, and he'd really toughed it out when the sport wasn't popular and wasn't getting that exposure. And, you know, he was getting onto that next stage in his life where, you know, he was, you know, wanted to spend more time with the family. He wanted to undergo studies. And so, you know, arm wrestling, he couldn't be the guy for the whole arm wrestling community to be relying on anymore. And it was around that time that Hollywood Matt Connolly all of a sudden burst on the scene, and he had tons of ideas, and Tim kind of handed over the reins to Matt with respect to the club, and Matt started filming these super match Sundays. He created a ranking. He made up a nickname for everybody, including himself, and really started
that can of worms. You know, that's a trigger for me, Dave. Yeah, it's a fucking trigger for me. Don't open that can of worms.
Yeah, but he really started, you know, laying all the foundations for the arm wrestling community we get to enjoy today, and really started building a profile for some of these athletes, and we were having these ongoing discussions about all these things that we could be doing in the sport and how we could further popularize the sport and shine a light on these athletes, these emerging athletes, and give them a you know, something to aspire to and work towards. And that kind of culminated in a couple of local regional events that we put on, which in lieu of having nationals during COVID, there wasn't like a nationals or a state championship being held here. So South Australia was one of the few places that wasn't being serially locked down, unlike your part of the world, for instance. We might have had a few little lockdowns, but it was nothing like the rest of the world was experiencing. So we were quite still liberal here and able to hold sporting events where you just couldn't do that in much of the country at the time. And so during COVID, we were still able to, start these little events, and that's exactly how they started off, little events. And Ryan Bowen flew down for the first of them, and we piggybacked off a bigger sporting event, and that really kind of demonstrated to us that there was some kind of appetite for this, and if done really well on the other side of COVID, then maybe that'll be a great opportunity for everybody, and great for the sport as well. So
with good always comes bad. It's just normal and everything like that. Because you mentioned our good friend Ryan Bowen. So just quickly before we start getting into Grand Prix 2, with high risk comes high reward. Now you teamed up with Ryan Bowen, so therein lies your brilliant international intake. Hey Ryan, we would like A, B, and C to come to AWE. Can you flick him a text message? Boom, Ryan's your guy. Absolutely. Yep. Then shit just got wild. Got real wild. We'll start with the bad luck. Like visas weren't approved, and people were getting in bloody car crashes or snowmobile crashes and things like that. Before we get to the tyranny, with the can't get a visa, I mean, you wanted like Todzilla, Michael Todd, the Indians, Mazahir Saidu, and they just
going through all that.
They just couldn't get visas, or were in Chance Shaw that Matt's beating there. I'll say hi to everyone in a moment. Some more people have jumped in. Was there a time in the injuries and bad luck part where you just went, boys, let's just fucking pack it in?
No, I don't think there ever was. I think we were pretty good at rolling with it and just taking it on the chin. And I reckon if any one of us was doing it on our own, there would have been that danger where you would have second guessed yourself and thought, what, is this worth it? What are we actually doing here? And, are we making any money out of this? What is it all for? I don't think that was actually something that entered into any of our minds at the time. It's tough, and it's can be frustrating because the plans that you crystallize in your mind, when that becomes interrupted, it throws a spanner in the works. It tests how you're going to react to the situation more than anything else. That's exactly what those challenges are for. It's a test to see how you react and what you're going to do, and what you do on the other side of it is what actually matters. And we saw it as an opportunity to evolve, even downscale. Let's see what we can do with even less than what we were, less resources. Let's maybe do some more community building. So we did all of that type of thing during that period of time. But I guess when it all began, it was all because Matt and I had a great relationship with Ryan. Ryan was looking at putting the Chance Shaw match on. It was going to coincide roughly with an event that we were planning to have anyway. And then out of that came, well, why don't we just make this the biggest arm wrestling event in the Southern Hemisphere instead? Let's just get everybody. Let's make this massive, and let's just sort out who's the best of the best after COVID. So we've had this explosion of popularity. We've got some new faces. We've got the old guard over here with Gunters and names like Brett Coots, and so we've got these guys, this old guard that every arm wrestling, hardcore Australian arm wrestling fans know, and then you got these new names like Marcus Satirai, and within all of that and all the hype and all the videos in the meantime, how good is Ryan Bowen now? And it was great to be able to answer those questions, and that was AWE 1, and that set us up with a hunger to do AWE 2, which was starting to move a big step closer to what we would like to do in terms of production values and elevating how the sport's presented. And the next thing would have been an AWE 3, which would have just been a better version of AWE 2 with hopefully even bigger names. But those big names we were denied access to very shortly thereafter, with losing our intercontinental champion the minute he stepped off the plane, essentially. And
but mate, as soon as he left the cage at Adelaide Oval, he was gone. I saw the text message. So
you saw the text message. That's a little bit of arm wrestling history there.
So what? But one thing I do like and I do admire, is when it was all going pear shaped. There was beef between Engen Terzi and Ryan Bowen. They were going at it. So then Engen was just coming at Ryan, right? Whatever international star you had, they'll just sign him to a contract. You can't come to AWE, and started knocking him off. So amidst all that bullshit and everything that's just ridiculous for the sport, is I love that, one, you guys kept going, and two, you found a brand new international superstar, like someone ready to come in Ricard Boardman. The birth of Ricard Boardman happened because he won Grand Prix number 1. And I'm sure the 3 of his phone has been ringing non-stop to get him his first international match, which will be happening in January against Don Underwood. The proper Hollywood.
How great a time is that? And so when we talk about creating a platform so that athletes can make that step from being an arm wrestling fan to an arm wrestling athlete to an arm wrestling professional, this is a perfect example of that. It was just that platform. And so the world was watching when Ricard Boardman won his heavyweight title, his AWE heavyweight title. And since then, the phone has been ringing hot, and there's a ton of interest, and there's a very good reason for that interest to be there. And Ricard will tell you he is way stronger now than what he was even when he won his first title. He is just turned 21 years old. So 125 years old. 125.
125 years old. Oh,
So he looks good. He's and it might explain why his technique's so good. It's all those years. But he's he's just an extraordinary once in a generation athlete, and he's this good at 21 in a sport where average age of a champion is well into their 40s. So we're seeing the evolution of the arm wrestling athlete before our very eyes here with Ricard Boardman, somebody who straight out the gate has that elbow and that the wrist and the hand, the whole package from the get-go. I don't think we've ever really seen an athlete like this before.
Wow, he's taking the right steps, because it was really interesting, because everyone was like, Ricard Boardman, like, oh, he's the man. But I seen him lose to Mario Tambakis at AWE. So I was like, hang on, what's going on here? So, but then obviously I did my homework, and he's a lovely guy as well. So a part of me just wants to wrap him up in bubble and go, mate, don't get involved in the arm wrestling politics. I'll ruin you. But that is a good segue, because I'm going to put it up here, Dave, because here is what I'm hoping is, let me get rid of that banner so people can see the bottom of the bracket. That looks like, have I guessed that right, Matt? I reckon I've nailed it.
Right. I think you've done well. Pretty good.
Well, we'll wait for confirmation.
Yes, like you're in
we love Jordan Davis. Always a big fan of Jordan Davis. Yeah, Mario is awesome. So I reckon that's it. If it's, see, I didn't even need your group chat.
There we go.
So Ricard Boardman, obviously the defending champion, is the number 1 ranked. We've got a round robin. Is it the day before?
No, it's directly before. So
directly before.
Yeah. So we've got Stephen Carroll, the Squid, Stephen Carroll. Three local lads. Tyler, the Hitman Harrison, savage hit, and really strong training partner of Taron Broad's. And our junior champion, Hamza Hodzic, will be competing in that round robin. So the winner of that will face Rickett in the first round. And then, of course, Alex McKinnon, who earned his spot. We had another big Tahitian making his way over. TNT, the number one guy in French Polynesia, was making number two, I believe, in all of France as well. So was making his way over, but last minute was not able to make it, and Alex earned his spot there, and so he's facing off against Brett Coots in the first round. So that'll be very interesting. But Brett just looks massive at the moment.
Brett looks ridiculous. So when it comes to the round robin, I love me some Stephen Carroll. Really good guy. Spent a bit of time with him. I love Stephen Carroll. Haven't spent too much time with Tyler, but I think Hamza will take the 8th seed. If I'm having a guess now, there's just something dangerous. Something dangerous about that prepubescent boy. He's brilliant. And we love him, but you never know. It turns up there. So that would be my guess from there. So then just quickly explain to everyone, it's a double elimination round robin, isn't it? Tournament.
Yeah. So it's double elimination, and it's first to two. So in our last Grand Prix event, it was first to pin. Now it's first to two. So this will give athletes an opportunity to maybe work out a way through if they happen to be unlucky enough to lose the first time. So that was a little bit of feedback from the athletes last time, that they would have liked that opportunity to kind of reset and think about how they might try and find a lane against an opponent that might have dominated them quickly, or got really quick off the start, or played straight into their strengths and set up. So this just gives those athletes a chance to think through a loss, perhaps on the table and in real time, and try and come up with an answer right there and then.
Yeah, brilliant. We've got James Wall in the house, UK. One of my favourite pullers. Love me some James Wall. He reckons that Ricard will destroy Don Underwood in January. I think a lot of us are thinking the same, and I'm a big Don Underwood fan, but man, the way Ricard is looking. And Josh says that he's had a go against Tyler, and his hook is legit. It's going to be brilliant. I think for me, 3, 4, 5, and 6 seed, those matches are very, very interesting, because Charles Curry, number 2 from New Zealand, is taking on Marcus Atirai, and you just never know which one of them is going to turn up. Are we getting a heavy Charles Puri? Are we getting, a slim down under 100 kilos Charles Puri? I've seen him.
We are not. We're getting a 125 kilogram version of Charles Puri.
Bloody hell. So looking forward to seeing them two go at it. And I want to see Marcus Atirai. I want to see where he's at. Because when I've seen him turn up in focus, looks like the best athlete in Australia.
Yeah.
But then I've also seen him turn up not in focus, and he gets beat on the table. Which
at AWE1, it's hard to imagine that Marcus Atirai could have lost to anybody at AWE2 after AWE1. He was just so dominant, it was just like, wow. And I mean, he's 165 kilos. So, if that man turns up in the day and is working in his lane, I mean, there's not much you can do. So, between those two big boys, I mean, we got Marcus Atirai still 40 kilograms heavier than Charles. So, but we also know that Charles has spent a lot of time with someone who's even bigger. Matare Ringid, the Beast Hedda Morris, is his training partner. So it's he knows how to handle big men.
Man, 160. I didn't realize. I know Marcus is a big boy. I didn't realize he was that big. And then, of course, I'm very interested. Taryn's in the chat at the moment. I think. G'day, Taryn. How you going, buddy?
Taryn will
I
be
think this match
in the newspapers tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Taryn was interviewed by the Murdoch media today, so you'll see that story appear in the papers, and it appeared online just a matter of a few hours ago. So Taryn was able to share some of his words as being the big hope here in South Australia to take out the title, of course.
Well, he's got an interesting first round here, in my opinion, because Ryan's been getting lighter, and Ryan's just come off a long flight, arm wrestling a billion people over there in India. He had a crack. He tried to pull every single person that lived in India. So it's not a bad first round for Taryn, because Ryan will be the lightest of the 8 athletes, won't he? Depending on who wins, he'd be lighter than.
I think he's low 90s. Brett Coots, I think might have got a little bigger. He was slipped under 100 kilos at our last event, so he's put on a little bit of size since. And Ryan. I think Taryn's sitting at around 93, 94 at the moment. So, which, he's, but he looks bigger than that. There's not much in this weight-wise. There's not much in it. But this is a big version of Taryn, a small version of Ryan all of a sudden. So,
yeah, it'll be very interesting. I'm very interested. Obviously, I'm going to go with my guy, Ryan. Of course, I'm going to go with my friend. I'm always picking my friend. But it's not bad. It's not a bad first round to have. Get a guy coming off a long flight. He could be tired. So I'll be very keen on that one. And then I just kind of feel bad for Alex McKinnon. I really do. Only because I see Brett when he turns up to the House of Pain here in Victoria. Yeah. So ridiculous. Now, Alex, I know you're going to be watching, and I hope you prove me wrong. Love what you're doing over there in Canberra, but Brett's just looking fantastic. He's just looking fantastic. Guys, everyone watching with Dave, tell me who's going to win. It's a double elimination. First to 2, best of 3, double elimination. Tell me who's going to win. Tell me who is going to win. Who's your tip, Dave? Are you one to get in there? Is it Bournemouth all the way?
There's a few little scenarios here, and one is I think Brett does move through, but I think Brett is. I mean, so strong, but he can be twingy, and that's what everybody here is hoping for. That they know that Brett's always going to turn up ready, but just a little twinge here or a tear there through the event, and Brett has a lot of these little micro injuries that can emerge. So if Brett gets caught in a war, that might be enough to stop him. And I know that he's keen to avoid Marcus Atirai, who, if you get stuck on, especially when Marcus goes into a King's move and you spend a while there, it really gasses you, especially when you're a big guy like Brett. And so even if you win through that, then there's damage that you've incurred. And then, who are you coming up against next? Is it, if you're walking up against Rick after that, it's a tough thing, or even Ryan, it's a hard thing to do. So, but I see this as, I think Charles is ready for this. He's been really training and focused hard, and I don't know much about Marcus's preparation for this, and because of what you mentioned before as well, Charles seems really focused, and I think Charles on the day is not going to be intimidated by somebody of Marcus's size. So I think if Charles is here and focused, I think he might find his way through the next round. So I see Rika going through. I would like to see Taryn get through, but I think Ryan's conditioning is exceptional, and see Brett making his way through.
Now, if you want some arm wrestling history, guys, let me look after you here. Why I'm a big fan of Charles Puri, because I saw him in 2019 get a bee's dick away from pinning the great Danny Tesh. And from whatever angle that you're on, you might even be able to call it a pin. Go look up. It was at the 2019 Arnold's. And I think that's why I'm very interested to see this Charles Puri, because the Charles Puri I saw, I think that was the 90 kilo class. So the fact that he's 120 kilos is just absolutely insane. So I'm very looking forward to it. We'll get back to the bracket, but I want to have a talk about, because we've got a couple of super matches. Couple of super matches here, starting with the women. They're going to pull on the right arm and they're going to pull on the left arm. Is that correct, Dave?
That's correct. Yeah.
That is
and
correct.
So they'll pull on right first, and then we'll have Brett and Rickett on left, and then the ladies will return to the table to see who wins on left.
So, if you don't know Ashley Hoeta, she's the only woman to bench press 500 or 700 pounds.
700 pounds. So that's
700.
317 and a half kilograms. She's the first woman on the planet to do it. And
Ashley, get a hobby. Get a hobby. Holy crap, that's very, very impressive. Wow.
And she's currently nominated for New Zealand Woman of the Year as well.
Wow. Well, good luck to you. I hope you get Woman of the Year. That is brilliant. So she will be taking on Keziah Harrington. Now, those that don't know Keziah Harrington, she's 19 years old at the moment. Now, I saw her 2 years ago, maybe even longer, 3 years ago, as a teenager, pin our strongest woman in the Southern Hemisphere, Vicky Vitale, at Over the Top.
Wow.
She got a pin at that tournament, and I was like, wow. And then they made her work. So if that was 3 years ago, I think she's going to cause a lot of trouble for Ashley.
Well, yeah, she's an exciting young athlete, tall, nearly 6 foot tall or thereabouts. Ashley's only 5'5", and that is a concern for Ashley. She understands she doesn't have the same leverage points, but she'll be really hoping to control Keziah's hand and not let her post and get high. And so that's Ashley's really aware of that. Ashley's come down in weight, so she's previously been as heavy as 125, and she's weighed in tonight at 108. So this is a lighter version of Ashley, and so so the gap's only about 25 kilos there now, this is a really interesting match when you think about the styles that are at play. So we know that size isn't always everything, and technique really matters, and we also know that styles make matches. So I'm really keen to see what Keziah is going to bring in order to counter Ashley's raw power.
What she's going to do, she's going to look at Ashley and treat her like a wrinkled shirt and press through her. I think she's going to press. I think she's going to press. If I'm going to have a guess, I think she's going. I think she's going to press, especially with the right arm. But that's we're all bloody guessing, aren't we, Dave? No, I love it. I love that there's a spotlight on these two. I think it's going to be great. Obviously, Ashley was supposed to pull Sarah Backman. Once again, the AWE bad luck kicked in, and Sarah is no longer able to join us in Adelaide, which, once again, Dave, brings me back to one of my original points. You still sold out.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant.
Yeah. It's a real credit to the local arm wrestling community that have really gotten behind it, though. There's both here in Adelaide and around the country where people are travelling from Perth, from New Zealand, from Queensland, New South Wales, Canberra. As you were saying, I couldn't remember who it was, but he's making his way. He's been driving past Geelong on his way here now.
Yeah,
So Hayden, sorry, yeah, and God bless you, Hayden. I'll be thinking of you as you're making that long drive tonight. It's it's just amazing. There'll be over 100 people in the room, and it'll be that real nice. That cauldron type of atmosphere, everybody's going to be able to get nice and close to the table. There'll be a great vantage point, regardless of where you might be there, whether you're seated in the VIP section or standing. You're going to see some great action and be really close to it. And of course, afterwards, everybody is invited to the after pool. So it's going to be another 2.5, 3 hours of after pool after the event. So all the fans are going to have that chance to grip up with the athletes and have a great night.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant. And so with the women's Trans Tasman Trophy, is there one each for one arm, or is there a point system? How are they defending it? Is it a best of 5, best of 7?
Yeah, so if it's not decided by the super match, so if one athlete doesn't win both, it'll just be on a count back.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. Yeah. I'm a big fan of count
So someone will walk away the women's Trans Tasman Trophy winner.
And then, of course, we got the left arm. These two just can't get enough. Your top 2 seeds.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
And they kind of swap, don't they, when it comes to left? You'd have to think that Brett is the favourite on left. And for all of Ricketts' hype, it has all been on right. There's not as much out there and you don't see too many training videos even with Rickett on left. But he's obviously feeling confident. Of course, Brett really did just solidify his claim to the best in the AWE on left when he took on Bowen Quintado at our AWE event on Australia Day, and that was a tight match, and you can kind of feel in some respects that Bowen Quintado with his long levers and frame and commitment and youth and just overall size. I mean, the kid's 6'5", and I think he's only like 22 or 23 years old. He got close, but Brett, I mean, he's just incredibly strong
it's
in
some else on that left arm for Brett. It's something else for sure.
Yeah.
And Adam Silver in the house. Adam, the bodybuilder bully. We were in Dubai together, and he was ducking me all the time for a left arm match. So, King of the Table 13, Adam. We'll have a left arm match. What do you reckon, Adam? Now that you're back in the King of the Table frame, it was really good to see you. But I'm ready to whoop you on the left arm. So we'll have that at King of the Table 13. Let me know, Adam. Let me know. But yeah, I like it. It's interesting. You've got these super matches, so your athletes in the tournament can have a break. But 2 of your athletes are in the tournament. Like they're the top 2 seeds.
I mean, this is something. This came from the athletes. This is Brett getting itchy to test himself on left, and Rickett saying, "Well, hey, I'm going to be in town. Let's why not? Let's just do it. Let's sort it out." And Rickett seeing it as a chance to add another title to his name before the end of 2024, and Brett's obviously hoping that he's still got it, and the old guard has still got a few more years left in them.
Oh, I reckon Brett's got plenty of years left in him. Bloody hell, the way he looks after himself. So then it is happening this weekend, guys. So it will be Sunday, our time, Sunday, 1 p.m. Everything is kicking off. What's the best way people can watch all of these amazing matches?
The best thing people can do is go over to the AWE Underground YouTube channel and subscribe and put on the notifications bell. We will be releasing this within 24, 48 hours, maybe even 36. This is what we've done before. There will be more there'll be more content, but we're aiming to get Grand Prix out there first and foremost, and the super matches to follow thereafter. So this will not be live streamed. It will be released very, very shortly after. And so you don't, and it's going to be free. There's no paywall associated with this. We are putting it out there for free. And the best thing that you can do is just head over to the AWE Underground page, subscribe, get your notifications, and make sure that as soon as we post this, you are getting that notification
for free.
Thanks, mate.
Like,
For
why
free.
aren't you doing why aren't you doing like what everyone else does? Like it's pay-per-view. Every show and buy the pay-per-view. What's the thought process? Like, this thank you. This is insane. Like, that we're getting all these amazing matches, world-class athletes. People don't forget Brett used to be worldly ranked. Ricard Bourneman is the new international superstar. We all know what Ryan Bowen can do. Charles Pury's flying in from New Zealand. So, like, why are we getting all this for free?
Yeah, one of the strongest women in the world. Well, it's all about accessibility. So for us, it's creating a platform. Once we hide our product, the AWE product, behind a paywall, it reduces accessibility. Less people see the product. And if we're in the business of making sure more people know about our athletes, then hiding them behind a paywall isn't effective. It's not our model here. So our model is that our promotion is a platform, and in behind that is a whole bunch of other stuff that we hope helps arm wrestlers go pro. We're building all of the tools in the background so that arm wrestlers have a home, they have a place where they can reach their full potential. And if they choose to, and they want to make arm wrestling their life, we want to be able to help them create a pathway to do that.
Yeah, wow, that is brilliant. Well, and it all starts, if you just want to watch some good old-fashioned, no pissing about arm wrestling, yeah, definitely go to the AWE channel and watch it all. I'll show you guys now.
Yeah, I'll maybe explain what people are going to see different on Sunday. So we had our high production values associated with, as we were kind of shooting for that kind of ESPN level style of presentation with AWE 1 and 2, and that's really where we were moving as a brand. We were just iterating that whole online presentation, so that on-camera presentation, I should say, so that the sport looked beautiful online, also on your screen. And so that's where we were moving to. But when we didn't have access to the big names, you can't sell pay-per-views without big names. And I mean, some of the biggest, you need the biggest names in order to really make money off your pay-per-view. And even when you do that, what you do notice, though, is that you still only get hardcore arm wrestling fans out to the events. You're not actually getting the general public. They're as much as we all love Devin Larratt, and there may be some peripheral popularity there where people are aware, or if they're aware of an arm wrestler, it's likely to be Devin Larratt. They might have seen some of his videos. They're still not going to pay money to come and just see him for the sake of it, like an arm wrestling fan would. And there's still not enough of those people to have fill a room of 500 or 600 people like you can with, say, a boxing event or a Muay Thai event or an MMA event. It's just there's not enough people out there right now that are willing to put down $70 a ticket to be there in person and pay $50 a pay-per-view, unless it's their guy against the best in the world, essentially. And that's just where we're at as a sport. So when we didn't have access to those big names, we had to look at the alternatives. And the first thing was can we sustain a big investment in production values and venues and all of that if we can't attract the pay-per-view sales? And the answer to that is no. Well, it's not sustainable unless we've got huge sponsorship filling the gap. And where do we get the sponsorship from? Well, we get the sponsorship from if we're exposing the sport or we're exposing our product to a lot of people. And if we're not attracting the sponsorship because we're not getting in front of enough people, then we're trapped again. So we thought the best thing we can do is make our product accessible, make it free, give people no excuse not to want to engage with our product. And if we can continue to build awareness and continue to build our brand and the brand of the athletes, then we know that over time, that'll build into a critical mass and serve as an even better springboard for all the athletes.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant. If you're not already, go and subscribe to the AWE Underground channel. Link is pinned at the top of the comments and it is in the description. Go and check that out because these guys are great. I know them on a personal level. I know them on a professional level. So that's why I'm always excited when they say, oh, do you want to come over to AWE? And the answer is always yes, because they had the balls, they had a crack at it. They had the balls to continue to fight when everything was going against them. They had and the balls to continue just to keep going when many, many other promotions have quit. So, you've always got the Aussie arm wrestlers support their big Davo. Have you got any final words or final predictions or final thoughts before we wrap up?
Oh, I think Rika beats Hollywood Don Underwood. There's a prediction for you. When it comes to AWE, I think Rika's really difficult to beat. Really difficult to beat. It's going to, but here's the fun thing about this format. And one of the reasons why our heavyweight belt from here on in will always be decided in this tournament format is because you never know what's going to happen. Any one of these 8 guys could walk away with it. One of these guys could be the Stephen Bradbury of AWE and walk away with gold because of an injury, a twinge, or a false start, or 2 fouls. It doesn't have to. It all hinges on moments, and as I've shared with many people, the really fun thing for the athletes is whatever the results here, whatever happens on Sunday, none of it is going to impact on their ability to book the next super match and to go on that next stepping stone and to move forward, because any one of these results could be different in a super match format. Any one of these matchups could be seen again in a super match format and a completely different result ensues. So, this is the really unique and fun thing about tournaments, is that anything can happen. Any scenario can play out, and anybody could walk away with the AWE heavyweight title. But whoever that is, they have to be 2 things. They have to be very, very good and very, very lucky at this point to beat Rika Borman.
So hypothetically, Dave, if Mr. Bournemouth goes through and defends his title, can he defend it at other promotions in a one-off super match to get your brand out there? So, like, he's going to Knuckles Up in January. He's taking on Don Underwood. Can he just sit there and go, right, can I put it on there? If not, I'll pay for Don's flights for the next AWE Grand Prix if I lose to Don.
Well, what he can do is Rickett could say, let's say Rickett didn't win. Rickett could say, well, let's have a rematch for the belt at AWE. So the belt must always be contested in an AWE event. That's the caveat. Now, I will say this though: the Intercontinental belt, that's the belt. Now, Ryan Bowen holds that belt, having beaten Mazahir Saidu in India about a year ago. He's been sitting on this belt for about a year. Now this
Ryan
has to be contested. Has to be contested internationally, and can be contested in another promotion on a different stage anywhere around the world. If Ryan had an offer to compete for the belt, and it was on the other side of the planet, he could jump on a plane tomorrow and have that match. So so that's the opportunity. But the heavyweight belt, that has to be in a tournament structure, and has to be as part of an AWE event. So yeah, I mean, and who knows? Maybe there's some international free agents that wouldn't mind making their way over to Australia to compete in one of our upcoming Grand Prix events, or maybe we can take the show on the road.
James Wall was one of them on the chat. I know he'd be bloody keen to get over here. I reckon I could name 20 or 30 free agents, especially to have a crack at Ryan and the fact that he's hiding behind his belt.
Yeah.
Come on, Ryan. You're better than this, mate. You're better than now. I'm a bit annoyed with you now, there, young fella. I'm a bit annoyed with you, Ryan.
He has been busy, admittedly. He's had a little bit on. So, and to be honest, I think if you go back and watch that video, which I think's had about 120 or 130,000 views now, if you go back and watch that match, it was so close. And I do believe there's a genuinely agreement between Ryan and Mazahir to have a rematch at some point in time. So stay tuned. You'll hear more on that, I believe, in the not too distant future. That may be a little surprise for 2025.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Can't wait. Anything Ryan does, he knows I'm on board. Everyone in the chat, and if you're watching this a little bit later on, can we please thank the man behind AWE, Dave Stockbridge. He is the man. He's getting ready, and I'm looking forward to having a beer with him and a laugh this weekend. Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for your wonderful support of AWE. And we look forward to seeing you here on Saturday afternoon, mate. We'll have that long promised beer.
Can't wait.